Hello, my friends, and welcome to the WDW Fan Zone Show. I'm Stuart, joined by John, Darlene, and Jess. And tonight we're going to discuss what effects Epic Universe might have on travelers to Disney World this summer. But before we get to that, we've got the latest, greatest, and best news there is around town for Walt Disney World. Take it away, Jess.
Best news. All right. The Magic Kingdom will be closing at 4:30 this Thursday, January 30th, and most likely for their cast appreciation night. So please make sure you are aware of the park hours. On Saturday, February 1st, Magic Kingdom is kicking off Black History Month with Celebrate Soulfully. A one-day only parade will start in the park at 3 p.m. with Grand Marshal as Emmy-winning journalist and talk show host Tamron Hall. The other parks are doing their own celebrations for Black History Month, so don't miss it. Be aware, if you are heading to Magic Kingdom to ride Tiana's Bayou Adventure, you may have a more difficult time than usual to grab either a Lightning Lane single pass or a virtual queue on January 28th, 29th, February 3rd, February 5th, and February 6th. The ride will be closing early on those days. The full lineup has been posted for the Garden Rocks concert series for the Flower and Garden Festival in Epcot starting March 5th. Some of the bands include Air Supply's 50th anniversary celebration, and and the new acts are Maverick City Music, The Outlaws, The Cat Empire, and We the Kingdom. Check out the whole list on Disney's website. I'm obviously saving the biggest news for last today. The Muppets Courtyard has been giving it a somewhat phased closing to make way for Monsters Inc. Land in Hollywood Studios, starting May 11th with Mama Melrose, and then on June 8th, the rest will be closing, including Pizza Rizzo and, of course, Muppet Vision 3D. Disney has promised to preserve the Muppet Vision 3D film in some way, and hopefully we will be able to enjoy it for generations to come. And don't forget, the Muppets are not leaving Disney entirely. They will be taking over Rock and Roller Coaster, but that date has yet to be determined. Don't forget to check park hours before planning your trip and check again once you arrive to see if they've changed. They do a lot, so check them out. The Walt Disney World area is expecting beautiful weather this next week with climbing temperatures, feeling a little more like spring around here. Finally. And that's the latest Disney news straight to you from Central Florida. Back to you, Stuart.
Thank you so much, Jess. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you so much, all of you too. See you real soon.
Yep. Bye bye.
Bye, Des. Thanks.
Bye bye.
All right. And then there were three. Um, yeah, I'm gonna miss Mama Melrose. That was one of the better restaurants, not only in Hollywood Studios, and I think in all of Walt Disney World. I'm not saying they don't have many more restaurants that are on par with that. It's just I should say it's one of my favorites in the parks. So I won't
I have
miss
Yeah,
to
it.
eat there before it closes.
Yeah.
I have never been.
I,
Wow.
I I was thinking the same thing, Darlene. I'm thinking about all these things that are coming up and closing down this year, and I'm trying to go experience them. And
Right.
I forgot all about Mama Melrose.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll have to see what I can do.
Yeah.
All right. So tonight we're going to discuss what effect or impact Epic Universe could have on Walt Disney World vacationers this summer. We know it's opening. I think it was what is it? May 22nd is when Epic Universe is opening. They just opened up one of their resort. I'll tell you that resort looks amazing. It's absolutely stunning. The resort they just opened. Um, so I've always said in the past, Universal guests and Disney guests are different because it caters to different crowds. But then Waddy, who's not here tonight, mentioned Kyle, her husband, who's a big Disney fan, is a big Super Mario Brothers fan. And what are they going to have in Epic Universe? Super Mario Brothers. So there can be crossover. I know there is some crossover, but maybe it's bigger than I thought. I don't know. We're going to get into that tonight, among other things, and we're going to let John tell us, what he thinks the impact will be or won't be.
Well, I'm not sure that I'm going to be. I actually have more questions. I don't have, my crystal ball for what I'm thinking, but the kinds of things that occur to me, and I want to hear how you have a response to this. But I think one of the big questions that we are going to have and other guests are going to have is the attendance going to go up or down? And I can see things that could have affected both ways. So on one side, one side, I can see, okay, maybe there are people who would go to Disney World for a 6-day trip, and they carve a day out to go to Epic Universe. So that would be a slight decrease. And is it your understanding that for this coming year that you can only get into Epic Universe for a day? That you can only book it for a day?
I thought I heard that somewhere, but I honestly did not look into it to verify if that was accurate.
I mean, I've heard that. So like for some of their annual pass holders, and not even everybody seems like they're going to be able to get in or in the early goings.
Right. That's what I heard.
So I think on one hand, there could be some Disney fans that, take a day out of their trip and go there. But then I also think, well, are there going to be more people coming down to Orlando overall because they want to get that day at Epic Universe, and then they're also going to go to Universal and Disney World, and so there could be more guests overall. So what are your thoughts, either of you?
Darlene, do you want us to answer? If not, I've got a thought.
Sure. I'll say something.
Okay,
I think you're absolutely right. Because from what I've heard of people who have bought in passes and stuff, and they've gotten annual passes, I think it's going to be one of these things where they'll do those parks, but they won't be able to, like go like we go to Disney World, because there's going to be such an influx at Epic of all the guests coming that they're only going to be able to have so many people in the park at one time.
Not enough for everybody that wants to go on a given day to get there.
Yeah.
Right. So you've got a lot of this other pent up demand to do something in Orlando, especially with more people coming, and they're going to have to go somewhere.
Yeah.
No, that's okay.
I think what you're going to see are people coming. I think there'll be an influx of guests there, more so than last year, but I don't know how much more. And I think they're going to have to spread their vacation out, like Darlene said. I completely agree with her. They'll pick a day that they can get into Epic. And, almost said Epcot.
It's so close.
And work their vacation around the other parks. I think that'll be the centerpiece for their vacation. How many days they'll go to Epic, I don't know I don't know what the limitations are, if any. Like I said, I haven't really looked into it to verify anything because I don't plan on going there this year. As a Disney fan, I'm curious enough to want to go there, but I might wait a couple of years till the crowds semi die down. I think something that what I think you have to look at with Disney is look at the discounts they were offering for the summertime. If the discounts are bigger than usual, that tells you all you need to know. That tells me they're looking to get people into the parks.
And to take them away from other parks.
Yes. Now, is that because of Epic Universe opening, or is it because of the construction that people are saying, I'm going to stay away?
Or both.
And we had a show on this. I mean, I don't really believe the construction should stop anyone from going on vacation to Walt Disney World this year.
No.
But people may wait. For if people have done the attractions that have come out in the last few years, if they've been there, done that, they may wait another year or two. But if they haven't gone on Tron yet, or the other new attractions, that's new to them. And we've discussed this.
It
But anyway,
is.
John, go ahead.
Yeah. No, so yeah, I can see it affecting both ways, but some of the things I thought about, if there's more people in the Orlando area overall because of the excitement for Epic, does that affect rental car prices? So could the demand be up, and could the prices be up? Does that affect flight availability, or how quickly you get your Uber car, or the traffic out on I-4? So I'm really curious to see what the attendance levels across all of Orlando look like.
And they're building a roadway to Epic, and I do not believe it will be ready in time for the opening of Epic. It's supposed to be a highway that goes right into it, and I don't think it's going to be ready in time. That'll affect it also, because you're creating traffic jams, and we have enough traffic down here as.
Yeah, well, there's always construction, it seems, along that I-4 corridor. Exits and now especially there, like you say, with that new road going into the new park. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, John. Continue.
Well, I think we did talk about this when we talked about whether the construction in the Disney World parks is going to, mention it earlier, Disney having offers. So we've already seen Disney does have offers for summer. Right in the middle of July, they have 35% off for annual pass holders, on select dates and based on availability. But they don't do that if they're not trying to make something happen, if they're not trying to attract more people or make sure that people that are on the fence, follow through. So we're already seeing offers, and so I'm thinking that those offers are going to hold through. I got an offer for February, and I also have an offer for April, and I see that there are availability of offers in July. So that's a pretty long time span.
Yeah, if you remember, last June is a very big month for Disney, and last year they had probably the poorest June of all time. I don't have the facts in front of me or the stats in front of me, but that's what I remember from hearing and reading things last year. So I think part of it, the uptick in attendance, was because we were coming out of that world pandemic. Hope I don't get in trouble with YouTube for mentioning that word now, because and that affected attendance for a while. So people were doing, I forgot this term for it,
Revenge travel.
Revenge travel, and then all of a sudden Disney was packed because everybody couldn't wait to get back into the parks.
And that curve had to wane at some time.
Yes, absolutely. It's not to say that the parks aren't busy. At times they are, but I think Disney's forecast. That's the word I'm looking for. It'll be interesting to see. Can they overcome it? I think they can.
I think they put offers out that they think are going to fill the beds that they don't have already sold.
Yep.
So the rate at which the rooms are booked at Disney is always very high. It's always over 90-some%.
Yeah. You know what I would do if I were Disney? I would take their cruise line, which is booming, and God knows why, because they charge a ridiculous amount of money for a cruise, but it's booming. What I would do is, if you book a 3-day cruise or 4-day cruise, give them book a resort before or after your stay, your cruise vacation, at one of the resorts at Disney World and get free admission to the parks for that day, for one day. So if you book a 4-day cruise, you get one day. If you have a 5-day cruise, give them 2 days. You have a 7-day cruise, maybe give them 3 days free in the parks. They're still going to make the money because they're going to be paying for the resort and they're going to be spending money in the parks. So why not keep them there?
Well, they're already giving guests that stay on site one free water park day
Yeah.
on the day of their arrival for
Yeah,
this.
which I think is very nice and very good.
Yeah.
Good for business.
It's a good time to have a split stay at a resort, because then you could you'd have flexibility for when you want to go to a water park. So if you have a split stay and you're in 2 different resorts, there are 2 different reservations, so you could choose to go the first day in the first resort or the first day of the other resort in the middle of your stay if you wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, continue on.
Oh, let's see. So the other things that I have kind of go together, and I think one of the things that Disney's going to be looking at is the excitement that gets generated with Epic opening. So there's going to be a lot in the news. Universal's going to be doing everything they can to advertise, their new park as well as all of their other offerings. So I'm thinking Disney is going to use it as an opportunity to make additional announcements about, when are some attractions closing or opening, or, what's some new thing they haven't even talked about yet, or use it as an opportunity to give us more details about some of the things we've heard. So what are some of the more specific attractions that are going to be in Villains Land, or what's some more detail about the attractions in the Cars area that they're going to be working on, so that they can generate excitement for their parks and to offset the excitement that Epic is generating.
Yeah, that would be a good time to release a brand new Star Wars movie or something else, some epic film at that time, also to bring some of the attention to them as well. It doesn't just have to be about the parks.
Are there any movies coming out this summer?
I don't know.
Oh, there
haven't
are.
seen them.
There are. I don't
There
remember
always
what they are offhand, but yeah, I mean, they can't make enough off their studios if they don't have, a large number of releases a year between. I don't know when the next Star Wars one is. There's a Marvel one is going to be released here in coming up in February.
Yes. I thought they would have pushed that one out, but they're not. So
Yeah, but they've got more to come, and Pixar, Disney, studios, there's plenty coming there. The last thing I have, and it kind of ties into that in that it's related to entertainment. And since the Disney parks aren't going to be opening new attractions in the time frame of Epic opening, because that's, on a longer term plan, all the construction that we've talked about and that we've touched on, this is Disney has the opportunity to have more temporary or ad hoc entertainment in the parks. So whether it's Streetmosphere or, some musical group, or maybe some of the groups that, have played in the past at Epcot, with Mulch, Sweat and Shears and Off Kilter, or who knows. I don't know that they're going to bring them back, but that kind of entertainment to give the guests something different that isn't there right now, but they don't have to start a whole new building or attraction to bring in something else for guests to enjoy.
Yep.
in Epcot, they do have the Canadian. It's near the Canadian Pavilion.
But yeah,
I think the
the
stage. They've had a lot of different
yeah.
performers.
I'm just talking about that kind of entertainment.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be a great time to bring Streetmosphere back into some of the, Main Street or Hollywood Studios.
I think it was a big mistake getting. I understand why they did it, but I think it was a big mistake getting rid of those performers.
Right.
I think it did mean a lot to the guests that frequent the parks or there for just even one time. It's a distraction from the long lines. It's something to do while you're going from one attraction to another.
Or if you can't get a lightning lane, for a while, you don't want to get in an hour and a half line. It gives you a reason to want to be there.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
Yep.
and we've talked about, what are the things that make you enjoy yourself at the Walt Disney World parks. It's not always just attractions. It could be dining. It could be live entertainment. It could be,
Mhm.
festivals, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's my list. That's
All right.
I'm going to turn it over to the two of you.
I'll bet you're like me, Darlene. I'll bet you don't have a list, just thoughts.
Just thoughts. Just
Yeah.
thoughts.
Same here. Go ahead.
Well, my big thing is with Epic opening, I was saying I thought attendance would be down, but again, when I was talking to friends of mine and family and stuff, and I was getting their view because they would be the ones coming down here, they're planning on doing both. They don't think that, the way it sounds, that there's going to be enough to do at Epic to keep them entertained, the children. And the tickets aren't, it's not, all the tickets are expensive, when we went, we did both parks hopper because you need to ride the train to go back and forth to see the Harry Potter thing. So there's that hopper there. So I'm thinking it's going to be probably a 50-50. You might have a few day, a day here, a day there. It might be less crowded because people will be there and then they're going to come back to Disney or go to SeaWorld or, just heard Legoland's going to be laying off about 234 people.
Wow.
So they will be going to Legoland.
Ooh.
That's a lot. Yeah, by spring.
Wow.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I think I think a lot of what John said, I don't think the walls will bother people. I think we've lived with walls for how many years now with all of the construction for Guardians and the new beautiful Epcot, main stage area. I don't think
But once
that's
with
going to
Future World, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I didn't mean to. I apologize. But once with Future World is now different lands, and it's like we always refer to it as just like something else. None of us know the names really. I know I don't.
Yeah, somebody said that they put something, they were showing something different on the stage for Encanto. So it does seem like they're using that stage for different performances and stuff, which is nice.
Yeah.
And that Communicore Hall area was being used as well, which was really good. I guess there's costumes or something. I'll see them on Thursday and I'll report back, but there's costumes or something that are going to be in there.
Oh, nice.
So that'd be neat. Yeah. So Epic Universe, I'm excited to go myself. I really do want to see it. But I'm not going to be running this year to go see it.
Same here. I know for myself, my thinking is it will have some sort of impact on guests coming to Disney World this year. I think people are going to. You're going to have Universal fans that wouldn't come to Disney World anyway, and they're going to be the ones rushing to get to Epic. Then you're going to have fans who are both, or you're going to have people that are both fans of Disney and Universal that, maybe they'll say, and we've heard this from Lonnie, Kyle was going to go this summer, and he said, you know what, I'll wait a year.
Yeah.
Let things die down. Let more new things come to Disney World so I can do both at one time. And I think that's where you're going to see the impact. It's the Disney and Universal fan that wants to see the new exciting things, but not go to Epic Universe this year and then go to Disney World next year. They're going to wait.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why we're seeing a lot of these. And I don't know this for sure. This is just my opinion and my guess. And I think that's why you're seeing some of these discounts that Disney's offering to get people into the parks.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, is it going to
Yeah, we
be?
don't know yet whether that's, preemptive. Well, it is preemptive.
Yeah, it is
It
preemptive.
is. It is. Yeah.
It is. I don't know if without Epic, if Epic Universe were not opening this year, I still think you'd see a little bit of a continued downward. I don't know what you want to call it, but attendance wise, I think you'd still see a decrease at Disney World because it's been a while since they've added new things. People, like I said before, who haven't gone on Guardians or Tron, they're going to come anyway because that's new to them. But for everyone who has seen that, they're going to wait for the new lands to open up. Unless they're really big Disney fans and have to go every year, like Kurt, who's not here tonight. Yeah, he's going to go for sure this year.
Seeing
So,
as he's there.
well, I don't know if anybody's supposed to know, so I didn't want to say that.
Well, but till somebody hears that, he'll be back.
Yeah.
I know I have family that's coming down, and they are going to be staying at Disney, and they will go over in December just for a day to Epic.
I know people that'll come down here. They come down to and this is where I think Disney lost some people staying on property when they got rid of the Magical Express. People would take Magical. Well, let me take that back. I don't think it was because of Magical Express. I think it was because Uber and Lyft got popular and inexpensive enough to do this for some guests. They would come to Disney World, and then they would take a day or two, still, stay at the resort, but take a day or two and not go to the parks here at Walt Disney World, but go to Universal, go to SeaWorld, maybe Legoland. And that's why Magical Express went away, because it wasn't keeping people in the parks from start to finish like it used to. I don't know if they can return to something like that where they'll keep people in the parks, but there are things they can do. If you give guests enough incentive to stay and spend their money on property, they will. But today's guests might still say, you know what, I'll spend 6 days at Disney World, but then we're going to leave and we're going to go to Universal and spend 3 or 4 days there. Where in the past, it might have been, we'll spend 1 or 2 days at Universal. Now they've got a third park.
Yeah. There is a challenge with guests choosing to split their time. And that is, if you only have a 2 or a 3 day ticket, your cost per day, either way, either in Disney World or in Universal, is higher. So if you've got 6 days to spend somewhere, the overall cost of your park tickets will be less if you stay at one or the other. So that's just one of the factors that affects people's decisions.
You know what I think also is going to affect it to a much lesser extent is the lightning lanes and the publicity that Disney has gotten, and not the positive publicity on social media about the wait times. And I think it has improved since they changed it from Genie Plus to lightning lanes, but they're not there yet. I think they need, and this is something they could look at Universal and say, let's see what Universal is doing and how they're doing it, because it's working there to a much better degree than it is at Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
And there are probably other factors into it, like maybe it's not enough attractions there, not enough guests there. Because I think Disney World, maybe I'm being biased in this, but I think Disney World is a much more popular resort to go to than Universal. Actually, I am biased in that. I think every ride at Universal is themed differently, but with the
they have
exception of
higher
Harry Potter, but it's the same ride. I'm sorry, John, you froze. Yeah, I think we lost John.
I think we did.
Oh, so I just said that overall the attendance is higher. I
Yeah.
guess I'll be back.
John, I think you need to knock yourself out and come back in because your video's also, it's been going in and out during the show. All right, we'll wait for John to come back in. You know, you've got more family coming down here than I do. And
Yeah, this
my family won't go to Universal. They're Disney fans.
yeah, I have family that is not as into Disney. One set is, one set's not.
Mhm.
I think I think the one set would come and stay and do both parks. Probably do Magic for the daughter and Universal for the son.
Yeah. And you know what? That's going to happen. You're going to have families
Yeah.
where one wants to go on all these roller coasters, and the other one would like to see the princesses.
Yep. Yep.
There's something, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, like I said, when we came down the one year, we did 2 days at Animal Kingdom, went 2 days to Universal, and we did Blue Man Group. Then we came back and stayed at the boardwalk, and we did 3 days at the parks, and we did Magic, Hollywood, and Epcot. So, I mean, that's probably what they'll probably do is do split stays like that.
Yeah, that's going to happen. I don't know if we'll ever see the days again where you come down to go to Disney World and you say, "Oh, we're going to skip Universal." I think those days are gone. But I don't think
Yeah,
you're going
I
to see.
think they are too.
I think it's more likely you're going to see people going to Universal saying, "Okay, we've been here for 3, 4 days. Now we're going to Disney." Whereas I think people that go to Disney will go for a day or two to Universal just to say they went there and go home.
Mm-hmm.
But it depends on everybody's individual interests. I think there is something Disney can do. I know this is not part of our topic tonight, but I think to mitigate the decrease in attendance because of Epic Universe this year, if they feel they need to, is hold some kind of week or weekend events. You're not going to see a Star Wars weekend anymore, and there were no soap operas
That's sad.
anymore. But they could do something along those lines, like maybe have
Mhm.
a Pixar weekend somewhere
Mm.
to bring guests out, or say, so and so will be here performing this week. I noticed, what I noticed this year for the Food and Wine, the concert series, the bands that
Flower
they
and
had
Garden?
this year, no, not Flower and Garden, it was for during Food and Wine.
Oh, okay.
The concerts that they had through Food and Wine were not as good as they have been in past years.
I know.
And a lot of people were blaming Disney, but I think it's the cost of the bands that were performing there have gone up to the point where Disney just doesn't want to pay it anymore. But I think they need to up the entertainment, and I think that'll help get people in as well.
Mm-hmm.
John, you alluded to some of that before with talking about Street and Sphere. I think they need to do those type of things until these new lands are ready.
Yeah, I think you're right. So Epcot's already got festivals pretty much all year long,
Mm-hmm.
but they can do things in the other parks
Yes,
with
absolutely.
these kinds of events to
Yeah,
draw
and they
in
don't.
more people.
Yeah, they don't have to be special ticket events. They're doing a lot of those.
Mhm.
Do something during the day so the person paying $150, $200 to get into the park has access to.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be anything major. It could be a character that hasn't been in the parks in years. Bring them back for a month or two in the summer.
Yeah, I mean, they could have, a modified Star Wars weekend
Mm-hmm.
where, they already have an entire land with Galaxy's Edge, and they've got characters there, but if they'd have to probably be a little careful thematically, but bring some of the Star Wars actors from the animated shows and the live movies and all of that, and have autographs or have workshops or whatever, and
Yeah.
expand what you can experience with Galaxy's Edge and Star Wars overall.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what's going to happen. I think Disney has a plan, and you can't doubt what Disney does because it seems to be successful most of the time. Wish it wasn't as expensive as it is, but that's another story for another day. Not this day.
Well, and they certainly adjust. So
Yes, they do.
they've got ways to adjust
Well,
and
that's the discounts they
react.
offer. Yeah,
Pardon me?
that's the discounts they offer.
Well, that's one of the ways, yeah. But here are some other things which hopefully they've been doing some of this planning where they can do smaller incremental changes in the parks that are more temporary while things are changing in the parks.
Now, if you both had to answer this question, how would you? Actually, I'm going to ask the question. So let's see your answers. Do you think from June through the middle of August, attendance will be on par with last year or above or below last year? Based on whatever you want to use and whatever determining factors you want to use.
I'm going to say it's going to be up.
I'm going to say it's going to be on par because there are some factors that will put some downward pressure, following from last year and what's going on with the changes in the parks and Epic. But I think Disney, as we've already discussed, they're going to make little changes and add incentives to bring people in. So my guess is on par.
It's like, I think it's a very difficult question to answer because there's so many unknowns.
Right.
If I had to guess, my guess would be on par, but and I know this is a non-answer. I was going to say on par with a little increase in attendance because they do have ways to get people back into the parks.
They do.
There'll be a lot of last-minute vacationers coming down here that didn't expect to come that say, "Hey, we've got a few days, let's go."
Yeah.
Or there's a good discount, let's grab it.
Yeah. Well, certainly Disney feels the pressure of Wall Street and their investors, and they're going to do everything they can to meet their revenue projections, irrespective of whether that means more people in the parks.
Yeah, something else I think they can do to help themselves. They're talking about putting live channels on Disney Plus. And maybe this is part of it. I don't know. But if they did live streams from the parks, like at night, broadcast the fireworks from Epcot, from Magic Kingdom, I think there are a lot of people out there that will tune in, maybe not every night, but maybe once or twice a week just to see it.
And Disney Plus is now going to be in the Disney resorts, correct?
I think so.
So, I mean, that's something even the guests staying there could watch. So not everybody can be at the Magic Kingdom for the fireworks or Epcot for the nighttime show, but even people staying there could be using Disney Plus to watch them.
Yeah, I think they need to use Disney Plus and I think they do to an extent, but I think they need to take it a step further. Use what you have on Disney Plus to promote the parks. And vice versa. Like you said, Disney Plus will be in the resort. So what are you doing? You're promoting Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot they can do. It'll remain to be seen what direction they take it to and how successful. I assume they're going to come through this smelling like roses after a little bit of a downturn. I think they're going to come back and everybody's going to go, "Epic what?" I'm not a Universal fan. If that's not clear to anybody who's watching or listening to us out there, I'll just come right out and say I am not a Universal fan. I think they designed a lot of the attractions, the two current parks, with the exception of Harry Potter, to be the same exact ride with a different theme. And I hope Epic Universe is different than that. And am I curious to see it? Of course I am. And will I see it? Probably at some point. But you know what? I'd rather go to Disney any day of the week.
Like me on Thursday. I haven't been in a while, so.
I've only been there since the blockout dates for annual pass holders. I've only been there no twice since the middle of December.
More than me.
Yeah, well, I'll be going. I'm going tomorrow, so I'll be happy to get there tomorrow for just a little bit, just for like a cup of coffee, and then yeah, that's the beauty of living down here. You know, I hate the reservation system, but it doesn't really affect me because there have been enough free to go days where I can just wake up and say, okay, let's go,
Mm-hmm.
or make a reservation the same day. So, but I
Yeah.
wish they'd get rid of it.
There's a few this week and next week.
Yeah. Tomorrow's one. Tomorrow being Tuesday, the 28th, and next week there's 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, I think it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, I think so. And then
That's
the
kind of
marathon
nice.
comes. Yeah, then the marathon. Well, then we have President's Day on the 17th of February, and the marathon
Yeah.
follows on the 20th. The parks will be very busy then.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not a runner, you might want to think about coming down here if you don't have reservations yet. If you do
Right.
have reservations, God bless you.
Yeah. I know I've got a friend coming in and I'll be visiting with her at Disney, but she doesn't do the parks. She just does the resorts.
Yeah, and there are people that'll do that too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think we're going to wrap it up here. Anybody want to add anything else? Any thoughts on Epic Universe and what it? You know, I do want to say something. While I don't think this holds true as much as it did 10, 20 years ago, I still think Epic Universe and Disney are two separate entities that have different visitors that go to it. Yes, there is crossover, more so now than ever, but I still think there are people that prefer one over the other enough to not make a huge impact on one or the other.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that Universal and Disney think that way, but I certainly don't have access to that.
Well, I don't think the media thinks that way. I think the media
Yeah.
likes and by media I mean the normal media and social media.
Mm-hmm.
I think they like to prod the bulls, so to speak, to get them head on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Disney really worries as much about. Maybe I think Universal worries more about Disney than Disney worries
I
about
would-
Universal.
I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that could change at some point too. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, we want Disney to be aware and somewhat concerned because we want that to drive them to give us more
Mm-hmm.
interesting, innovative, entertaining
Mm-hmm.
attractions and experiences
Yep.
as a
Very
result.
true.
Right. Competition is what gives you the new lands, the new attractions, and actually getting guests to keep coming back and spending more money is that's what it does by forever changing the parks, which is what Walt wanted. You have constant turnover of things, so you're getting new guests, return guests. Because if everything stayed the same, yeah, people would have some of their favorites, but there are a lot of attractions that when they opened up, you couldn't get on, and now it's walk on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If everything was the same as 1971, we wouldn't be going.
Yeah. Look, I
True.
love Muppet Vision 3D, and to me, it's timeless. But every time I go in there, it's like 2/3 of let me rephrase it, half the place at least, sometimes 2/3, but half the place is empty.
Really?
Yeah.
I must go at the wrong time.
Yeah. It's anytime during the day. That's how it's been.
Yeah, when that
Wow.
park first opened and that attraction first opened,
Yeah.
they physically made you walk to the end of the row so they
Mm-hmm.
could get everybody in.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now they say, go halfway, go 2/3 of the way.
Yeah.
So
And just keep in mind when I say that, I'm not going the busiest times of the year. Like I won't go. I blocked out Christmas, Easter, and in the summertime, I avoid some of the attractions because I don't want to deal with the lines. And I can afford living down here. You can afford to do that. If you're visiting, you've got your plan and you've got to stick to it. All right. Anyway, we're gonna get out of here. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. We will be back next week with another new episode of the WDW Fan Zone Show. Until then, be safe, be yourself. Bye bye. Go Jets.
Have a magical night. Stay safe and pack your sunscreen. The sun is coming back out.
Well, with all these things happening and talking about Epic, I have no plans to go to Epic this year, but I do have plans to get to the Magic Kingdom because we've got a date tonight at 8. So meet me down on Main Street. We hope you come back, and whether it's 8 or some other time, and whether you go to Main Street or you go to Hollywood Boulevard, we hope you come back and see us again too. So have a great night and see you soon.